they're not typically going to go through. Yes, your action movies is going to show people going all the way through and stuff like that. Doesn't happen in real life. They're going to hit that and then come back with pretty messed up faces on those. But if they go out a side window, it's like a T-bone type of an accident. If they eject a side window, that's just tempered glass. So they can be ejected from the vehicle. Damage to structures or utilities that can present a hazard. Damage to structures or utilities. Okay, so if the car runs into a house or into a pole, something like that, or anything else that requires special attention. At night or low light, if you don't have blue headlights, a thermal imager can be helpful in locating victims who've been ejected. Okay, so what do we know about thermal imagers? Hang on one second. Question?
How common is it that you see someone getting launched out of their car into the windshield?
Okay, windshield, no, because of what I just said. Side, not often. Not often. They got to be both going at a pretty good rate of speed, or at least one of them going at a pretty good rate of speed to cause an ejection, and not wearing seat belts. And most of our vehicles, if you don't wear a seat belt and there's weight on the seat, don't you hear that annoying ding, 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 ding all the time? Then you got that light flashing. So it's not that common, but it can happen. I mean, we talk about a lot of stuff that's not that common. Thermal imagers. We had, that was that Saturday that I left on the thermal imagers, right? What can you tell me about how they can help us in this situation? Is that what you're going to tell me?
No.
Something else? Hold that one. Let's finish this one. Patrick.
The victim may be hotter than the outside surroundings to highlight them.
Okay, usually. So they're going to show up what color on most thermal imagers? A lighter color, okay? So it's like when the black and white TV, and they're going to be in white, and the rest is in shades of gray. So black and white isn't black and white, it's grayscale. So they're going to show up light on grayscale. Okay, there's one.
Like we showed on Saturday, or this Saturday, was it Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday. Where you put like your hand on the wall, and it'll show like your hand
Heat
prints.
signature. Yeah. So right now, this section of the whiteboard is warmer than the rest of it. The rest of it's 70 degrees. This is 98.6, or some of my 98.6 is on there. So if you were to take a thermal imager and look at this board, what would you see? A big white handprint here. So that can help you figure out if there's someone who's had their butt in a seat. It's going to be hotter. You're going to get there shortly after the accident occurred. So you could still note that. So those could be helpful. Portel, your question.
So I had a driving instructor who definitely made up random stuff. And one of the things he said is that in the older cars, with the seatbelts only going across your waist, is what would happen is at a frontal impact, they would just smash their head into the dashboard and their nose would like go into their brain. Is that true at all, or were they like...
Nose into brain, I don't know. The next generation, after the lap belts of the 1960s, became the three-point harness system, or shoulder harness, in addition to the lap belt, because people we had those injuries we called eat the steering wheel, because it bends you in half, and that's where the steering wheel is. So you would have broken noses and ripped cheeks and stuff like that were common injuries from hitting the steering wheel. So when we added the three-point harness system to it, it got a lot safer and better. So he kind of isn't all that off on it, but again, the nose and the brain. All right. Education. So firefighter is going to determine the number of victims, assess the extent of the entrapment. So try before you cry, figure out what you need to do, what can hand tools do, what can power tools do, and assess the victim injuries. So it all plays into that golden hour of trying to get that person. Have you heard of the term the golden hour before on TV shows and stuff like that? We want to get the person from the source of major injury to a treatment facility that's appropriate for those injuries within 1 hour. So again, most of us, a nosebleed, we've all had them before, and unless you have a hemophilia blood clotting disorder, then they pass and they go, and you hold your nose and you count like this for a little bit, sit still, and it's gonna clot and stop on its own. But traumatic stuff, we want to get them to the appropriate facility, which sometimes you'll hear of a level 2 or level 1 trauma center. It just has to do with what facilities they have on site. The higher the number, as in 2 and then 1 being the best. They've got surgeons on staff at that facility. So this little joint over here in the Grand River, not a level 1 trauma center. They might be open 24/7, but they don't have a surgeon at that facility. U of M does, Detroit Receiving does, Beaumont Royal Oak does. So the big ones are higher level, and that's how it all's supposed to work. So if you see us take someone and bypass that hospital and go to Providence Novi, we are going there to get them to the appropriate medical care, not the closest medical care. So that's part of what EMS is all about, trying to figure out what the most appropriate is and how to get to that. All right. And that's going to depend on the injuries. So that might not be you. You know, you might be assigned to patient care if you have that level of training, and you might be assigned to extrication. But we're usually not going to cross paths with those two. One deals directly hands-on with patients. How can that person now be dealing with cutting cars and all those other things? All right, information helps the IC determine the resources needed to stabilize the incident and order which the victim should be extricated. So we are all talking back. Someone's got a victim, someone's got the vehicle. We're all reporting back to the IC and letting them know what we need. So I can figure out, oh, there's 4 victims in that car, and 2 of them are pretty serious. So 1 EMS unit is not going to work. Let's get 3 here. So we need to call some additional ones there. And we can't get into either vehicle. And there's 1 driver here who's unconscious, and let me know the extent of their injuries. So okay, we need extrication here. We don't there, but we've got numbers of victims. So all these things play into that. Questions? All right, let's take a stretch break, 5 minutes. Battery cables, cut or remove the negative, then cut or remove the positive. So double cut on the black, double cut on the red. We talked about that. Some vehicles may have 2 or more low voltage system batteries, such as some diesel pickups. Both systems need to be disabled. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to see them. Hopefully, because sometimes I wouldn't know that it has 2 batteries unless I looked. And then hard at night with commotion, etc., wind, rain, etc. Shutting off power does not mean that all systems are immediately safe. Restraint systems, airbags, can work for up to an hour after shutdown. Assume the vehicle is powered up until one of us tells us that it is shut off. Place wheel chocks in front or behind any one tire will be a good start. Transmission in park. Turn off ignition, remove key. Disconnect the 12-volt system. Double cut black, double cut red. Remove the key a safe distance from the vehicle if it is a proximity key. Stabilize the vehicle. Don't touch cut or brightly colored, so orange. Don't cut the orange. Avoid piercing. Battery cables. You want to cut them with the appropriate tool and go with black first, red second. Dealership manufacturer's guides. All right, good. Airbags. Let's take a look what we have here, a standard old vehicle. There's your knee bags. Sometimes they have ankle ones by the pedals further down. Driver airbag, passenger airbag. Which one goes out further? Passenger, right? Because the driver is usually in the steering wheel itself. The other one is going to be the dashboard. Here are your side curtain airbags. Here are your side protection systems. That's all this shows. There are others. Some car doors have them in the door itself, and they pop up on the inside of the window like a piece of toast in a toaster. Some of them, they're located in the shoulder harness. Some rear seats have them as well. Rollover protection system. So this usually says some type of SRS, supplemental restraint system or something, but it's molded into the plastic of the dashboard, so you really can't see it. It's not like that's black and the rest of your dashboard is gray, or it doesn't stand out. It's just molded into the plastic. So it's hard to see if they have the airbags or not and how many they have. So again, it's going to be how new is the vehicle, what do you think, what do you know? It can all be found here. If you can look it up online, some departments allow you to do that. But always the peel and peek before you cut anything is a good rule of thumb.
When an airbag deploys, where does the trim piece covering the airbag module itself go? Is it just projectile plastic or?
So it's designed to break away to not harm the passenger. So it's going to have relief cuts in it. So if it breaks here.
It breaks it where it's not just going to send a stream into the face?
Yep.
That's probably good.
Yep. So convertibles. Anybody? At home? Convertible? 1, 2, 3. All right. If it's a newer one, then it's going to have some type of a strengthening system here. Sometimes it's just beefed up, and it's within, your car will only go back so far. It's like a T-top type of a thing. Full convertibles usually have this guy here that when that black box on your vehicle detects that you are involved in a crash or are airborne, then this thing pops up. Okay, it's right behind your head, so it's not going to hit you, but it's going to go higher than you. So it's going to act like a roof. These are strengthened A-posts, and this is a strengthened rollover protection system, so you are technically in a cockpit, even though you're not. Okay, like all the rest of our cars, we are in that cockpit. We are in that box. This is what makes the box. So if you have a convertible, look and see if you see these things popping up. I mean, they're not going to pop up, but you'll see the covers for them. Seatbelt retentioners. Those are those pyrotechnics. They usually have a charge right there where they clip in on that rocker panel or in the B-post. Access by removing the B-post trim, control modules for the SIP, a supplemental impact protection system, maybe in the B-post area. Don't cut during extrication. Disabling seatbelts and pretensioners, cut seatbelt webbing, unbuckle or retract the seatbelt. So seatbelt cutters, again, I think there's one built within the yellow Glassmaster. We have them in, you've seen that roll-up pouch that we have for extrication that we set on the hood when we go on a call. There's a seatbelt cutter in there as well. And it's just a simple razor blade with protection all around it. But if you get the webbing in there and you pull, it's going to cut. Never cut or touch a component with yellow or black or orange tapes, insulation, or tags. Doing so may cause electrocution or activate undeployed airbags. So cut what you need to cut, but what should you be cutting? Seatbelts, if you need to. Some vehicles that have batteries where you can't see them will have, I just thought of this one when I saw that, they will have a yellow and black piece of tape with a pair of scissors on that tape. Not a pair of scissors, but a picture of scissors. And that is a cut point. So it's a point that sticks out, you have it, that's where you cut to disable the battery. Anyone have that you've seen? Okay. All right, supplemental restraint system, SRS, that might be molded in the plastic, or sometimes it's just like a t-shirt tag sticking out of like the side of the car, the seat. or SIPS, side impact protection system. Airbags, side curtain airbags. Extrication of firefighter may trigger airbag system, potential lethal force, PPE, be careful. Can't still deploy after the battery is disconnected. For how long? Up to an hour. Okay. Head protection system. Deploy airbags from just above the top of the door in a side impact collision. Window curtains automatically inflate. So the window curtains go down, you know, some pop up. Inflatable tubes. They all can deflate. It says it can be punctured. Inflatable tubes must be punctured to deflate. Okay, so most of your airbags have a relief valve on them. They're designed to very quickly go to full extension, I guess, inflation. And then to leak itself back out slowly after that. After the need is gone, you've already had your impact absorbed. This one says the tubes, which would be on the sides, have to be punctured to deflate. All right, well, you're not going to reuse them anyway, so puncture them. And that might be in your path, so you'll have to do that. The rollover, so that little bar that pops up on like the convertible type vehicles, deploys automatically if the vehicle rolls over. I think it's also if it's airborne. Behind the front seat, stay in a safe position when working with unemployed. So if you're in a convertible, be careful where you lean. It doesn't say anything about airborne. I thought it did. All right, access victims. Remove a window or a windshield. We've all done that. Open, pry, remove a door. Did everybody take out a piece of glass? Did anyone not? Okay. Were you there that day? Oh, sorry. Did anybody not use a hand tool to make a purchase point? Use a Halligan or a flathead axe and make a purchase point so you could get a hand tool in? Everybody did that? Okay, good. Remove a roof. Okay, I saw a lot of vehicles with roofs off. Hopefully you got your hands. Everybody make a cut with a hydraulic. Did anybody not? Did anybody not use a reciprocating saw or sawzall to do some cuts? Good. Did anybody not use a airbag, part of that system? Did anybody not use a air chisel? Okay, good. So that's what a lot of this stuff is. Move steering wheels. We did that, right, for one of our things. We did a steering wheel moving, didn't we? Yeah?
No.
No? Okay. You did the dash roll. Move the dash.
Attempted.
Attempted?
Tentative.
The first part, and then, yeah, they screwed too much, so.
Okay. All right. You can look up some of those things online. There's techniques for that. Doesn't work on every vehicle. So we always got to be ready with a plan B. But there's a lot you can do with hydraulics. It's a big field. Using those tools, spreader, cutter, ram, and what you can do in a vehicle is amazing. That's why I'm going to leave it to my extrication folks to train on that, because they're better with it than I am. They spend more time with it than I do, so it's just the best people to do it. Try to open the door closest to the victim normally. If the door's not open normally, try the other doors. If that doesn't, then try to use a tool to release the lock. Key, can you reach in through a window and hit a button? You know, any of those things. So try to go with the easiest thing possible before we jump to extrication, like try before you pry. Removing a window, so here there's your purchase point and then your glass master. If it is a laminated type of glass or safety glass, and if it's just tempered, all you need to do is break it in one point, and then it'll break into a million pieces, and most of us have done that. If you're going to break glass, consider breaking glass further away from victim or victims. Again, we just want access. So if the driver is hurt, can we open the passenger window, take that out, open the door, get to them, get them out that window? Can we get somebody in there to climb? So if possible, try not to get the glass falling on people. Removing the windshield weakens the vehicle stability. More time consuming than removing tempered glass because you have to actually technically remove it. Glassmaster is a good tool. A Sawzall, reciprocating saw, will also work. In days of old, before all this was perfected, we used to use a pickhead axe. The pick on the end of it would make our purchase point, and then we would take the axe, turn it around, and chop, and go from the middle all the way to the side and down, and then the other side and down. But again, every little chop you make has to have some oomph behind it, because you got to get through 2 pieces of glass and the laminate, so the vehicle's being jarred every time we do that, a little bit. So safer ways to do it are with those other tools. Saws are the most effective tool, and we can use others as well. Tempered glass, so most side stuff. Corner of the window breaks easily when struck with a tool, or a spring-loaded center punch is the best one to do, because if it's a tool, you have to take a swing, and if you take a swing and someone is there, they could potentially get hurt or struck by your tool. Make sure the victim is covered, so you'll want someone in there, if at all possible, with a tarp of some type to put over them, so we are kind of in a little tent, so we can ease some of their worry when they hear the glass breaking and stuff like that. Inform members before breaking glass, so just a common thing you'll hear at these things, break a glass, and so you just get ready for it. Contact paper or duct tape can contain the glass, so we've seen that used on some of these slides. Rear window may be safety glass instead of tempered glass as well, and now some side windows also have safety glass. So again, don't allow the tool to penetrate far enough to injure victims inside the vehicle. So spring-loaded center punch is best tool of choice for that, and they're still cheap. They're located in the handle of your Glassmaster, in the kit that we roll out on the vehicle. Best way to do it, because you don't have to do that swing and maybe intrude into the compartment. Opening a door, so here we are, we've done all this, we're prying it from opposite the hinge, and here we are cutting the hinge. Spread the latch or hinge, so rip the metal off, cut the hinge, break the latch mechanism, cut the nadir pin. Did anyone cut the nadir pin? On education, did you?
I think so, on the burnt PT Cruiser,
On what?
on that burnt PT Cruiser.
On the what?
The Chevy HHR, like
Oh.
the PT Cruiser, that burnt one that we had.
Oh, okay. I would think that the nadir pin is going to be a little tougher than most of the other ways. Did it go pretty easy, or did it take a while?
It took a while.
Okay. Nadir pins are pretty darn tough and solid, so I would think, rightly so, that's way down on the list. These are going to be easier than that. Compromising the door locks, not worried about locks typically at this point. Not all shears or cutters are capable of cutting the nadir pin. So we had to, as a fire service 10 years ago, we had so much cutting force behind our hydraulic tools. And then we started seeing these advanced metals that are helping with the crash test and helping with the MPG come into play, and not all, because they're stronger, not all of them could be cut with our tools. So we pretty much had a point in our history where we said from this point on, we need to upgrade to a stronger power plant and better cutters to get through that. And the other stuff would just go away, so every department had to put in for it, and you started with one, and that was the vehicle you called if you needed them. Try it with your other ones, but they weren't gonna cut it. But it's something to do in the meantime while you're waiting for the vehicle to get there, and then you get them for your next vehicle, next budget cycle, and it's just a replacement thing, just like our turnout gear and SCBA and everything else. So pretty much we're at a point now where all of the old technology stuff is gone, not as powerful as the new stuff. The stuff that we have out there is now pretty much all the stuff that'll cut everything. Removing a roof, so we talked about the many different ways there, what to watch out for, peel and peek before you do it. But this one, removing the roof, you can cut it where all of its attachment points, where the roof attaches to the vehicle, lift up, carry that way. You can do a roof flap, where you cut these 2 posts on this side, these 2 posts on this side, start to bend it, usually you have to tap it with something, or you have a tool that you can hold in there and flap it over. So lots of different options there that we probably did or heard of on our extrication day. Remove doors or roof of a unified vehicle that can seriously compromise structural integrity. We're not worried about structural integrity at this point. The crash has already happened. Hey, what's happened has happened. So we're not trying to, well, let's not cut there because they might fix this vehicle. Farthest from our mind. Always place step shock or other support under the B-post. Cut roof away from door posts and lift it off as a unit. Avoid cutting seatbelt pretensioners or side airbags for obvious reasons we've talked about. And there's a roof flap there. This one looks like it was cut with an air chisel or a sawzall, reciprocating saw type of a thing, and folded back to make an access panel. Cutting the